Then we continue with the example 2. Example 2 is about use a scatter plot to make a prediction. Okay. The scatter plot shows the relationship between the number of people at a water park and the temperature. About how many people should the owners of the park expect at the water park when the outside temperature is 90 Fahrenheit degrees. We need to find the Y value for an X value of 90, okay, 90 Fahrenheit degrees. You can approximate, okay, and then I'm going to draw the graph so you can see that what are we going to approximate. Okay, so if we have something like this, this is the graph, and in the other part, this is for Y, this is for X, and I'm going to write the coordinates to the scale that I'm going to use. 60, 70, 80, and 90 for this one. 60, 70, 80, and 90. Maybe we need more space. Okay. And for the other part, I need 800, 600, 400, and 200. 800, 600, 400, and 200, okay? So this is what I'm going to place in the other part, starting in here, okay? This is, remember, the variable Y, and the other one is for X. This is X. Then what can we do in this? We have the graph. I'm going to make a line. What we have is something like this.
Mister,
Tell me.
I think I'm going to quit the class because the phone is.
Okay, it's discharging or something. It's failing, okay. So I have something like this starting in 70. This line starts in 70 and finish. So it's going to start in here at least. Okay, it starts in 70 and finishes after the 90. So I'm going to move a little about this. Okay.
Mister,
Mister,
Tell me.
Abril says that.
Hola, Oscar.
Abril says that his cell phone turned off, so he get out of the Zoom of the video. Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to take that in account then. Okay. Then I'm going to try, remember, only something similar. This is not going to be exactly what you have on the book. I'm only trying to do something similar, so only draw some points. You can see it, okay? And we have a lot of points in here. We have someone like in here, other point in here. There are many points inside, on the line too. They are on. Okay. And in the other part we have, for example, in here I have 2 points that are not on the line. There's a little separated. You can have this one in here. And in the other one we have is in here. Okay. Something like this is what you have, right? Okay. Maybe not the exact, okay. I remember I told you it's not exact the term, but we have something similar like this. You can see that they are adjusting at the form of a line. And you can see that this is a positive association too, because you increase the value for X and the value for Y is increasing too. You can see that the graph is completely increasing for the two variables. So this is the positive association. Now, what else can we determine in here? They want to find the number of people that is going to go to the water park when the outside temperature is this 90 Fahrenheit degrees. So how we can know this? We can find the value for the visitors only estimating in this case. For you, it's easier, okay, to estimate because you have the grid and you can determine, okay, what's in the lines. When you find the lines with the value that correspond for, in this case, if I have X, what value are we going to have for Y? I'm going to move this so you can see it, okay? What value are we going to have? We are going to relate this with 800, okay? So maybe if I move the line, you can see it better. The idea is that the point is completely on the line, okay? So I'm going to move this one too. This is the idea of this, that this point is completely on the line. So when you have 90 for X, you have 800 for Y. Guys, something important in here. Maybe in the first example we take more time because there are more things to explain about the slope and about the Y-intercept. In this case, no. In this case, they give you the graph. They already give you the graph. Don't give you the facts to make the scatter plot. They don't give you the table, okay? So the way they obtain these facts, you don't know it. But they are giving you the graph and it's all that you need, okay? They are giving you the most of the work complete because sometimes the difficult part is to write all the points, okay? When we have many points in the scatter plot, they give you the points in the trend line, okay? Tell me, Anthony.
Entonces en el ejercicio ya nos están dando la gráfica hecha, solo tenemos que hacer como poner las líneas así como usted hizo en el ejemplo de la pizarra.
An approximation because remember, if I have 90 for X, you relate in the grid the point that is going to touch your graph. Then in the point you touch your graph, that is the number that is going to correspond for Y. They give you the graph, so you can determine this. If they don't give you any information, you cannot obtain anything. If they don't give you the graph, they can give you the table with the data, so you can start graphing point by point, placing on the graph, and later you draw the trend line, okay? So it's more complicated. In this case, we only need to interpret what is happening in this. Remember, we are trying to approximate. It's an event in the future, okay? So it's not completely exact what we are going to obtain, but we can have a next approximation that is going to be valid, okay? In this case, again, you already have the graph, so you only approximate connecting the points for X and for Y. The first one was a little more complicated because we needed to find the slope and we needed to find other things because they are asking you about a rate of change. This girl, for the first example, wanted to know what is going to happen in the next years in 2026 based on the data she had for the other years. And using the slope, she wanted to know if the rate of change was going to be constant or not, okay? It was different because she wanted to know if it's going to remain, okay? If it's like a trend, okay? In this case, no. In this case, we are only asking how many visitors we expect when we have 90 degrees outside. Maybe they collect all the data. For example, how they collect this? In January, they report that the Celsius, I'm going to use Celsius because in Honduras, we measure the temperature in Celsius, so it's easier to approximate. For example, if in January you have 20 Celsius degrees, February it's 25 Celsius degrees. When you are in March, it's 30 or 28, I don't know, something like that. You are in April again and you have maybe 18 Fahrenheit degrees. So something like this is like they do. They record all the temperature and all the changes Only that in this case, we use it for a water park, okay? And we count the number of visitors. For example, in April, 18 Celsius degrees, and come to the water park, only 500 people, something like that, okay? So they are recording all the data, and when they have everything, they start graphing point by point, okay? I think that in this case, it's not for month. In this case, they record only the temperature and the number of people. But it's the idea that I'm giving you, okay? So you start placing all the points with the information you obtain, and this is, if this adjusts to a line, okay, then it's going to be a trend. You can use this to predict what is going to happen. So they predict that when the temperature is 90, the number of visitors is going to be 800. So I don't know if you understand the idea of this. I'm going to, okay. Now for the number 3, in the example 3, we have to interpret the slope and Y-intercept. You know that we already interpret these things in other examples from the class, but it's okay to do it, okay? Interpret the slope and Y-intercept. Now, it's correct, okay. How are we going to interpret this? I need to draw the graph with you again, because without the graph, you are not going to understand what's happening in this situation. So if I have this graph, and I have the line starting in here, I have something like this, I think. Okay, so using the text, I'm going to write the coordinates, I'm going to write the scale. We have 64, 48, 32, 16, and that's all, okay? Remember, what number is going to be in the middle of this? For example, I'm going to move maybe this in here, and I'm going to move the line too. In here is better. Because if you start in the origin, you have 0 in here, right? 8, 16, 24, 32, okay, 40. I'm counting by 8. You know that appears only 16, 32, and the numbers that plus 16. But in the middle of them, remember, are numbers related with 8. So 8, 16, in here again 24. Okay, I'm explaining you because we need to know what is the Y-intercept. And the Y-intercept is 8 because is where the graph starts. Remember, is where our graph starts. Okay, now for X, I have 20, 40, 60, and 80, okay? Maybe if we have more space in here, then I'm going to give more space because I need this. Okay. The scatter plot at the right suggests a linear relationship between the temperature and the number of smoothies purchased in thousands. So I'm going to write the number of smoothies. This is for the number of smoothies, the variable Y. And in X, I have the temperature in Fahrenheit degrees. I can write it in here. I think that we have space in here. Okay, temperature in Fahrenheit degrees. This is the relation. You know that it's a relation. You can see the straight line, so you know that we have a positive association in here. When I draw the points for the scatter plot, we are going to find that this is the a positive association because you can see that if you increase the temperature, you increase the variable x, and the number of smoothies that is going to be sold, the smoothies purchased, are going to increase too. So again, like the first one, we have a positive association, yeah, and they are increasing. So I'm going to draw the points with you. Remember, I'm not going to do the points exactly where they are located. I'm only going to represent something similar, okay? So I have some points in here, and I'm going to try to do it faster because we don't have much time to finish, and I prefer to explain you the theory because the graph, you already have it, okay? It's a shame that I cannot show you the book. I think that we can work better if we have this. Maybe for the other classes, we are going to use the PDF with the book, okay? So I have something like this, right? And I have one point in here that is isolated. The idea of this is that you have something inside of the line too, okay? You can see that the points are adjusting like a line, okay? They are following the line, the trend line. Then we can represent this. We have the graph, so we need to find the answer for these questions. The first one, what does the rate of change or slope represent in this situation? What is going to represent the slope, or the best question? What is this situation about? About the number of smoothies that is going to be, okay, purchased depending on the temperature outside, okay? Or according to the temperature is going to be a change in the number of smoothies that the people sell. And we are relating the two variables. So if we got the answer that the book right, the rate of change or slopes describes the number of smoothies purchased for each 1 degree of temperature increase. Again, I'm counting by 20, 40, 60, 80. Remember, I cannot write all the numbers until 1, since 1 until 80, but we are including all. From 0 to 20, I have 20 numbers. In here, the same, 0 until 16, I have 16 numbers. Until 32, I have 32 numbers. So the idea is this. For each 1 Fahrenheit degree that increase, how many smoothies are going to sell, okay? That's the idea. For each Fahrenheit degree, the number of smoothies are going to change, depending if decrease or increase. In this case, we have the graph that is increasing. So if you increase the temperature, you are going to increase the number of smoothies that are going to be sold, okay? B, what does the y-intercept of the line represent of this situation? What represents the y-intercept? Is the initial value we have, is where our graph starts. In this case, for example, the temperature is 0 Fahrenheit degrees, but you have in 8 smoothies. So when the temperature was 0 Fahrenheit degrees, they sold 8 smoothies. So the y-intercept represents the number of smoothies sold when the temperature is 0 Fahrenheit degrees. And the number C, what equation relates the temperature X and the number of people who buy a smoothie Y? Okay, we can represent this. Remember the formula to find the equation. Y equal mx plus b. So what we need to find? We need to find b. B is going to be 8, right? B is 8. We already have the value for B. And what other value we need? We need to find the value for M, that M is going to be equal Y over X. But remember, we have 2 different values for Y and 2 different values for X in this point, because in the graph, they give you the, okay, the scale. So Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus x1. So when I represent on the line, I'm going to show you what is 1, which one is 1, and which one is 2, okay? So I'm going to use the other color, I think that this one. I'm sorry because we have many different colors, but I think that it's the best way for you to notice about the different part in here. For the first one, when you have, for example, that this, okay, 40 for x, you are going to relate. I draw the line so you can see it better, okay? That's the idea of this. You have 40 for x, and you have 32 for y. You can see it in the 2 points for x and for y, you touch the graph, okay? So I'm sure that this point is going to belong to here. Later, the other point we have is when x is 80 and y is 56. This is what I was telling you at the beginning, okay? Even if the 56 is not in here, if it doesn't appear, you know that the 56 is located in here because it's in the middle of 48 and 64. Okay, maybe the line is so inclined. So I'm going to draw the point in this and I erase the lines. Remember, I don't need the lines, so I'm going to erase in here. This one too. And I'm going to copy the coordinates. I'm going to copy the coordinates for these points, 40 and 32. And for the other one is 80 and 56. So we already finished this, guys, only that we need to replace in here. So we only replace and you finish when because you already know the answer. So the slope is going to be the values when we replace 56 minus 32. This is going to be divided by the values of x, 80 minus 40. This is the answer for the slope equal 3/5. I'm going to simplify, okay? And I'm only going to write the equation and we finish because we already finished the time. 3/5x plus b, that we know that is 8, okay? In this case, the step that I don't write is 56 minus 32 divided by, this is 24 divided by 80 minus 40, that is 40. So you only simplify this. You divide by 8. 8 times 3 is 24. And 8 times 5 is 40. So that's the reason why you obtain in here for the slope this result, okay? So I'm going to finish in here, guys. If you don't have any other questions, I think that we can finish the class, okay?